Over the past 2 years or so, I was able to grow to almost 50k followers on Twitter. But before this, I actually quit because I didn't understand how I could grow. I posted every single day, but still I didn't make any progress. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the 8 main mistakes that people are making that are preventing them from growing on Twitter. So the first mistake is not understanding how growth actually works. Most people think that growth works like this. You write tweets, and if the tweets are any good, then people follow you. But this isn't actually how it works. It's a little bit more complex. This is how it actually works. People are strangers, and in order to get to know you, they either need to see your tweet, or your comments, or a DM. But let's just keep it at tweets and comments to keep it simple. If the tweet or the comment is any good, then they click on your profile, and if the profile is optimized, then they become a follower. And one other thing you need to understand is that the problem at the start is that your tweets aren't really getting impressions yet. So you need to leave comments to kind of force eyes on your content. Every single comment that you leave is a chance to be discovered. So the more quality comments you leave, the more profile clicks you get. And if your profile is optimized, then it will convert at least 10% into followers. Mistake number 2 is not using a scheduling tool. When I started out, I didn't use a scheduling tool, but constantly having to think about having to log into Twitter and posting your content is actually really annoying because it's constantly in the back of your mind. So that's why it's really powerful to have a scheduler that you can just paste all of your content in once a week or a few times per week. And then you just don't have to think about it anymore. That's why I use Hypefury. Hypefury is great because it allows me to schedule all of my tweets. And it also makes it very easy to repurpose my content to other platforms. You can, for example, set up your schedule so that it looks like this. You post 3 times per day on Twitter. And then you take the tweet and you copy it. And then you paste it into the slot for the threads or for the Instagram or LinkedIn post. And for Instagram, you can also just take a screenshot of your tweet and post it there. So it makes it very easy to repurpose your content to different platforms. It also helps you with a few other things. We have the tweet booster, which allows you to auto-retweet your posts. We have auto plugs, which allow you to automatically plug something below your tweets. For example, your email sign up or your lead magnet sign up. And we also have the auto unretweeter. So this automatically unretweets all of the tweets that you retweet from yourself and other people, so that your profile stays clean. So these are the main things that I use Hypefury for. If you want to learn more about it, check out the link in the description. The third mistake is making a bad first impression. Which of these 2 tweets looks better to you? The one on the right looks more professional. No offense to Demon Slayer, I like it, but the right one looks better because of 3 different reasons. The first one is because my name is a real name. The second one is that I have a blue tick. And the third one is that I have a professional looking profile picture. So you need to make sure to optimize these things because it will help you to make a better first impression and it will get you more profile clicks. And there are also some other benefits that you get from getting the blue tick. So I'm not going to read them out loud. You can just pause the video if you want to read them. The main ones are that you can write long form posts and that you start getting Twitter ad revenue if you get enough impressions. I believe it's more than 5 million in 90 days. Mistake number 4 is having an unclear profile. This used to be my profile. I know. Pretty impressive. Gamifying self-improvement through the art of self-control. I thought it sounded pretty cool, but in hindsight it was terrible and it was extremely unclear. So that's the main problem with it. When people get to your profile, they have to decide whether it's for them or not. And if you make it really unclear, then most people will click away. So you waste a lot of traffic if your profile isn't clear. So that's why we need to fix it. This is my current profile. It's still not perfect, but it's a lot clearer. And that's because it contains 5 different things that you also need to include. The first one is what you do. So I help people to grow and monetize their audience. Simple enough. The second thing is how you do it. So what topics do you use to help people to get the outcome that they want? In other words, how do you help them with the thing that you do? What are the topics that you use for it and what can they expect from you? Then we have who you help. So in my case, it's just you because the other things are already clear. But if you help a specific type of person, then you can include it here as well. And then it's also good to add social proof if you have any. So if you have helped a certain amount of people to achieve a certain outcome, or if you have a certain amount of clients or customers, then you can add it here for more social proof. And then you can include links so that they can get more help from you if they like your content. Make sure you include all of these to make a great profile. That brings us to mistake number 5, and this is playing in single player mode. So like we already talked about, people need to see your content in order to get to your profile and they need to hit the follow button to become followers. But at the start, you barely have any impressions, so you need to leave a lot of comments. Without this, you simply won't grow. This is probably the number one mistake that I made at the start. That basically cost me months of progress. So if you take one thing away from this video, it's that you should start leaving a lot of quality comments. It may sound boring, but let me show you the power of one good comment. So this is a comment that I wrote, and when we look at the analytics, we can see that it got over 200 profile clicks. At my best, my profile conversion rate was 31%, but let's say it was only 10%. Then it would still equal more than 20 new followers from just one comment. So this is why it's really important to leave a lot of quality comments. Leave them on both big creators and small creators. 80% small, 20% big. The big creators get more impressions, but the small creators will also start commenting on your stuff and also start following you. So it's best to combine them both. Mistake number 6 is writing in a complicated way. When people start writing on social media, they suddenly feel the need to start writing like a wannabe philosopher, which is fine if you can do it, but a lot of people aren't able to pull it off. And as a result, it looks something like this, which is unnecessarily complex. It's much better to keep it simple and concise. So just talk in the language that you would also use in your real life. Or if you're not English like me, just use 8-year-old language that everyone understands. It's not about the complexity of the words you use, but it's about the depth behind your ideas. So you don't want complexity, but you want simplicity with depth. If you struggle with simplifying your writing, then you can use Hemingway or AI to make it simpler. You can paste your writing into Hemingway and then it will tell you which sentences and which words are too complex. And an alternative is using ChatGPT or some other AI to simplify your writing. So you can just paste in your content here, and then you can tell it to simplify it, and it will give you a simpler version. And if you're not satisfied with it, you can tell it to simplify it again and again and again. Mistake number 7 is ignoring aesthetic writing. Aesthetic writing is about making your writing look good so that it's easy to consume and so that it grabs and holds attention. It's best illustrated with an example. I'm not going to read this entire thing, but as you can see, the first part has constantly 5 different words. But in the second part, he changes the amount of words per sentence, and as a result, it looks much better. And it's easier to consume for people. So I'm not going to read it for you, but take a screenshot of it because it's worth reading and it's very important. Let's look at a few more examples. So this aesthetic writing principle is something that I call stairways. Stairways guide people's eyes down the page. So in the first example, you can see that the stairway isn't there and it goes from long to short, etc, etc. It's still a good list, but it could be written better if it was a stairway, like in the right example. Here you can clearly see how it goes from short to slightly longer, etc, etc. So if you can use stairways, then you basically guide people's eyes down the page, and this is very powerful. The next example is using bullet points instead of commas. Every time people see a comma, they automatically stop reading for a split second. But if you have bullet points, then people can skim it more easily. So in the first example, people will stop reading every time they see a comma, so this slows down the pace of the writing. But in the second example, people basically read the first sentence, then they skim the list, and then they read the last sentence. So even though it takes up more space, it's easier for them to consume. And the third one is symmetry. So here it's an unequal amount of bullet points, and here it's an equal amount of bullet points. And this makes it more pleasing for people to read. We also have the white space, which isn't equal in one example, but is equal in the other one. And then again, we have the stairway, and we have the conciseness or simplicity. There are a lot more strategies that you can use for this. So if you want to learn more about this, check out the free Writing Simplified ebook in the description, or check out the aesthetic writing course. That brings us to the next mistake, and this is reinventing the wheel. When people start out, they basically try to figure out everything for themselves. But this isn't the best way to do it. It's much better to look at the people you admire and write down what you admire about them and what you like about their brands. Then you try to take a certain aspect of their brands and put it in your brands basically. And I call this artistic alchemy, because you take from multiple different places and then you turn it into one new thing, which is your brand. And you also combine it with your stories, your personality, and your ideas. You basically adapt what is useful, you reject what is useless, and you add what is specifically your own. That's the way to do it. So these are the biggest reasons that you aren't able to grow. But in order to grow, there are still a few more strategies that you need to use. So check out this video next. It explains exactly how to do it, so that you can gain over 10k followers on Twitter extremely fast.